Yo, what up? We're here. We're going to break down UFC 238, and it's a great card, so we're just going to jump right into it with the first fight of the night. And first, I just want to say I'm pretty surprised this was the first fight of the night. You know, obviously it's a pretty high-level fight in terms of, you know, skill level, and also in terms of, you know, what's it called? Like how highly ranked they are. If Calderwood gets the win here, she could potentially fight for the title. But, you know, Calderwood, she's, you know, like I said, eyeing that title shot with the victory. She's 3-0 with 2 finishes, and she's looking dominant. You know, she had a dominant win in her last fight. She's had, you know, a very nice performance when she fought Valerie Letourneau, who I think is kind of a similar range striker to Chookagian, maybe a little more dangerous. But Chookagian, she's going to be looking to bounce back here from that loss Jessica Eye. And that was the number one contenders match. She was a big favorite. She couldn't really capitalize there. And, you know, she's obviously probably has a bad taste in her mouth because of that. It was a split decision. Maybe she even thinks she should have won the fight. So, with the win here, you know, it's a shallow division. She could just put herself right back in the mix. So, it's a huge fight for her. And with this fight, you know, it's going to come down to who could control range. Chookagian, I think she's going to try to use a lot of lateral movement, counter with her straight punches, throw left hooks, uppercuts. And she has a pretty dangerous head kick, nice round kicks, side kicks, even front kicks to the body, to the head. She has pretty solid leg dexterity. But I don't think she has the best power in her punches. She is sharp. And Calderwood hasn't had historically the best head movement, so she could potentially, you know, kind of ding her up a little bit, ping her with jabs, straight punches, frustrate JoJo. And the fighters that Chookagian has faced, you know, especially in the UFC, aren't really kickers. I feel the kicking of JoJo will really help in cutting off Chookagian. And Calderwood wants to just get Chookagian in close quarters where they can kind of make it a battle of attrition. And I think she should attack with a lot of front round kicks to the body, back Chookagian up, try to close the distance with punching combinations into the clinch. And I think JoJo's going to have success with elbows in the clinch, similarly to how Jessica Eye did. And Calderwood is going to be, you know, plotting forward the whole fight. Definitely is going to be the more powerful striker, in my opinion. And I think she's going to break her down. I think she's the tougher fighter. I see her being able to attack the body, the legs of Chookagian with kicks. You know, win the striking in close quarters. I think she's going to land the more impactful, memorable shots. And I think Chookagian may go for takedowns here. And if she could get the takedown, it could change the fight. But Calderwood has been working very hard on her grappling. And if Chookagian, you know, is able to use her foot speed to win a decision, I'll be wrong here. But I think JoJo's going to use her kicks to cut her off, get inside, just get nasty, and be the one that wants it more and get the decision victory there. So I'm going to go with Joanne Calderwood to get the victory there, and I'm going to say she possibly could even get a TKO stoppage, to be honest, but I'm going to say she gets the win via decision here. And up next here we have what could be a pretty fun striking fight with Eddie Wineland against Grigory Popov. And, you know, Grigory's getting a big name right away, and he's a veteran. He has 16 fights. He's 35, so, you know, he probably wanted this opportunity to jump right in the fray. But he's been fighting in China. He's been fighting, you know, a lot of low-level competition. This is definitely a major step up. And he's a Muay Thai striker. He tends to start slow a little bit, but he can be fun to watch when he opens up. He has a nasty jab, heavy low kicks. He'll throw a jab, right leg kick combination. Very nice left hook. He'll throw a nice overhand right left hook combo as well. Excellent at blocking and returning with low kicks. Very good speed, accuracy. And his punches are very economical. He doesn't waste a lot of shots. He's very, you know, pinpoint. He will attack with body jabs, 1-2s, heavy hooks to the body, very nice round and front kicks to the body, very good at attacking the body at all times. He doesn't really have a lot of wind up, a lot of tails on his kicks, very fast, and he'll bring the front kick to the face as well. Very nice spinning heel kicks to the body. He'll throw the spinning back fists. In a lot of MMA fights, I've seen him hold his hands low, and I don't know if he just does that to be ready to defend takedowns or to bait opponents in, but in Muay Thai he doesn't do that. And Muay Thai is good at, you know, catching opponents with straight punches and hooks, keeping a high guard, closing the distance, and he does get hit at times in MMA a little bit unnecessarily, and he tends to start slow, then open up in the later rounds, and due to that, it could potentially lead to him losing the decision here or there by getting out volumed or getting to a, you know, an early hole. but he has good cardio. He comes in great shape, and he could finish the fight late. He has pretty solid power. He only has 4 knockouts, and he has been knocked out 1 time. But Grigori is very good in the clinch. He has nasty knees to the legs, the body, elbows over the top. Very good body locks, hip tosses. And he's strong in top position. He has good elbows. He'll throw nice ground and pound. He likes to get the mount. Very good rear naked choke. And he actually has 2 go-go plata finishes, which is pretty interesting. He can't be taken down himself, but he's good at attacking off his back with elbows. He has pretty solid get-ups. And I don't think you have to worry about that much in this fight. Grigori, he has to be more aggressive in this fight. He can't be so low volume. If he waits for Wineland is, he's a wily veteran. He knows how to get ahead on points. And Grigori needs to chop the leg, slow that movement of Wineland, then snipe him with a big punch. Grigori has kind of a similar striking style to Johnny Eduardo, who knocked Eddie Wineland out. So that's something to look at. But, Eddie Wineland, he's a veteran. He's the former WEC champion, and he's lost 2 fights in a row, but his last fight was very close. It could have gone either way with Alejandro Perez. He's definitely probably nearing the end of his career. He only fights about once a year now. He's broken his jaw multiple times. He's a bit shop-worn, but he's still dangerous. He's powerful. He's won his last 3 wins are by KO, TKO, and he's really purely a boxer. He doesn't really throw kicks much. He doesn't go for the clinch or takedowns, but he uses very untraditional movement. He does a lot of jump stepping, herky-jerky movement. He likes to keep his hands low, and that movement makes him hard to hit, and he likes to explode in with long-range shots. He has a nice uppercut, hooks, long straight punches. He does a pretty good job of landing and cutting angles, so it's hard to time his exits. And he uses pretty good fakes and feints and good counter puncher. He could draw you out and counter. Really nice 1-2. And when he angles off, he can have his hands low. He can get clipped. He can also enter striking range with his hands low. And he's very heavy on his front leg. I feel Popov is really going to beat up that leg. And Eddie struggled with speed in his career. And I think that, Popov is a pretty fast guy. And he could tag him with some straight punches. Wineland does have 14 knockouts himself, so he has big power, and if he can catch Grigori when he's starting a little bit slow early, he could knock him out also. And for Eddie Wineland, I don't expect him to go for many takedowns. He has a pretty solid takedown defense himself, and in the clinch, I think that Grigori's going to have a pretty major advantage. I don't think that Wineland really works in the clinch. I think that Grigori will be able to land the shots, but I think it's going to be hard for Grigori to really really be able to implement his grappling game on a guy like Eddie Wineland. I feel like Wineland's has a little bit too good at movement, a little bit too crafty for that. But, this is a very close fight. But I'm going to pick Grigori. I think he's a bit faster. He's hungrier. And I think that his striking experience is, he's going to eventually find a beat on Eddie Wineland, start landing those big leg kicks, hit him with a couple big shots, and maybe finish him. But I'm going to say Grigori gets a split decision victory, but I think it's a very close fight. So I'm going to go with Grigori, but, I think it could go either way, to be honest with you. And up next here, we have a fight with Bavon Lewis versus Darren Stewart, which I'm pretty confident in this fight on who I think the winner's going to be. And Bavon Lewis, he came into the UFC with a lot of hype. He kind of fell short in his UFC debut. He was winning a pretty dominant fight against a longtime veteran Uriah Hall. He looked pretty good for portions of the fight, especially the first round, but third round he was knocked out, and Uriah is able to do that to a lot of guys, so it's not a terrible loss, but Lewis can't afford 2 losses in a row. He needs to come out here, make a statement against Darren Stewart, and Bavon is a great athlete. He has a great frame for the division. He's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage. And he has a nasty jab, great straight right hand. He's very accurate with it. He uses that straight right hand to close the distance, and he has a very good left hook, very good front kicks to the legs, the body, and he likes to slip the jab through the straight right hand counter. Excellent at hand fighting, throwing oblique kicks, breaking his opponent's rhythm. He's good at staying at his range, just pot-shotting opponents. He has nice head kicks. And he will throw nice step-in elbows. He's switching stances all the time. Really makes it hard to get a beat on him. He's very quick. He has big power. And he has 3 knockouts. In his last fight, that knockout that he got was pretty brutal. So we have to see how his chin comes back from that. But he's never been knocked out before. That was his first loss. And Lewis is a strong grappler. He's super dangerous in the clinch. He has nasty elbows, great knees to the body, to the head, and very strong uppercuts, hooks. He'll attack the body with hooks as well. He finished his last fight with his last opponent that he won the fight against with nasty knees to the head. And he's physically strong. He can bully, control opponents against the cage, pretty good double legs. And on top, his length really gives him a big advantage. His arms allow him to stand up in opponents' guards, land big ground and pound. He has good takedown defense. He does a very good job of defending with front chokes, sprawling, getting on top. And he has good cardio. The commentators were saying he was getting tired against Uriah Hall, and I didn't really agree with that. I mean, maybe he was slowing down a little bit, but for someone that uses that kind of movement, that kind of explosiveness, I didn't think he slowed down that much. He isn't a submission threat. He has 0 in his career. But in my opinion, Lewis is going to have a huge speed advantage. Needs to fight long. And this is a good match for him to show off. Stewart is flat-footed. If Lewis can use his oblique kicks, front kicks, he could just piece Stewart up from the outside. That could make Stewart desperate, make him close the distance and make a mistake. I also feel Lewis is stronger in the clinch. He's probably a better wrestler. So I think he's better everywhere in this fight. And for Darren Stewart, he's been up and down in his UFC career. He lost a split decision to Edmund Shabazian in his last fight. And I feel a loss here, could put him in danger of being cut. He's already lost, had a 3-fight losing streak in the UFC. So a loss here would make him 2-5. And, it would probably end his hopes of being a top 15 fighter as well, even if he didn't get cut. But Stewart is a powerful guy. He's explosive. He does do a good job of working off his jab. He has good movement. He'll slip shots and return with jabs, with overhands, with hooks. And he has a nice true right hand. He has a pretty nice counter right hook. He'll use a good left uppercut, good lead uppercut, straight right hand combination. He also will throw a left hook, right hook combo, and he's very flat-footed, though. I think that's going to cause him a lot of issues in this fight. I feel he's going to have to back Lewis up against the cage because at distance, he's going to be constantly coming up short with his punches, in my opinion. And we saw, against Carl Roberson, when he can't find his range, he's panicked a little bit in the past. He'll start attempting a lot of sloppy spinning back fists, flying knees. And he looked good versus guys like Julian Marquez, Eric Spicely. Those guys just stood right in front of him. They were willing to brawl. And that's Stewart's game, because he has a great chin. He definitely has that one-punch power. And you have to be, in terms of defense, locked in for all 3 rounds with him. And he has 7 knockouts. He's never been finished by strikes. So that's, what he wants to do. And he's a decent grappler. He's dangerous in the clinch. He has big elbows to the head. We saw that where he finished Charles Byrd. He'll throw nice overhands, uppercuts over the top, pretty good knees. And, people have been able to control him against the cage. He kind of uses a lot of explosion to get offensive technique and can tire himself out. But he does have a pretty solid blast double leg. He has heavy ground and pound, and due to that, he doesn't have the greatest top control because he kind of just goes crazy looking for the finish. His takedown defense is pretty average. He was taken down multiple times in his last fight, and he isn't very good off of his back. He was quickly submitted by Carl Roberson. He didn't really show much off his back against Edmund Shabazian, and he tends to slow down as fights go on. I feel that Lewis has better cardio. I think Lewis is also the better grappler, but Stewart, in my opinion, should try to wrestle in this fight. I feel at range he's going to get eaten alive. I think he needs to get inside, back Lewis up, explode in with combos, try to get Lewis in the clinch, get, a big elbow off or a big knee. And if you can get takedowns, that will change the fight, in my opinion, but I think that's pretty unlikely. I think this is kind of an easy fight for Lewis, to be frank. He should be able to use his kicks, his movement, maintain distance, and in my opinion, Stewart's going to panic. I think if Stewart gets super aggressive, Lewis is just going to take him down, clinch up with him, be more effective in the clinch, and I think Lewis is just better everywhere. He just needs to not get caught, and he's going to win the fight. And I'm going to say Vaughn Lewis gets a second-round TKO finish here. And up next here we have what could be another pretty fun striking fight with Yan Xiaonan taking on Angie Hill, and Angie Hill's coming back really fast after that last win over who was that? Over Jody Escobar. That's who it was. Yeah, pretty good win there. But, for Yan Xiaonan, she's getting a massive step up in competition. And so far in her UFC career, she's faced really bottom-of-the-barrel fighters. Her wins over Kaylin Curran, who's no longer in the UFC, Viviane Pereira, who's no longer in the UFC, Suri Kondo, who, she's nothing to write home about either. And if she can beat Hill, she's going to move into fighting top 15 fighters, and we could see, her true potential, because she is going to finally get tested here. For Yan, she is a pretty solid striker. She's light on her feet. She has that sideways karate stance, and she likes to use a lot of lateral movement, walk opponents into her power, and she has nice inside-outside leg kicks. She has a pretty solid jab, very nice left hook, and she throws that left hook a lot. She will throw a nice left hook straight right hand combination. I feel her straight and overhand right lead are a little more accurate than her left hook though, but she has a nice jab right hook combination. She's fast. She closes the distance fairly quickly. She has a good chin. She believes in that, and her power in the pocket, is pretty good. She seems to back those girls off when they start trading. She's very good at landing her left hook straight right hand combination in the pocket. She has nice kicks. She'll throw nice round kicks to the body, to the head. Her best kick is probably her front leg hook kick. She'll throw it very quickly to the body and the head. It has good power on it. She'll attack with oblique kicks to the knees. She throws a pretty good spinning back fist. She'll try to mix them into the end of her combinations. Overall, her footwork is pretty good. Good distance control. She's able to land, get out, angle off. I do feel that opponents will have success with leg kicks, and not many have tried them. Angela Hill definitely will. She also gets tired in round 3. Opponents are able to kind of start walking her down, jamming her kicks, making her fight off the back foot, and she isn't good fighting backwards. Her punches seem to not have as much pop, and that's when she can get a bit sloppy. Her defense gets a bit loose. She gets hittable. And, fighters just become very comfortable eating her shots, walking forward. All 3 of her opponents have seemed like they've stopped fearing the power in the 3rd round. But she does have 5 knockouts, and none have been in the UFC, and she's never been finished by strikes herself, so she has a good chin. But Zhao Nan, she has never attempted a takedown yet in the UFC. She's really purely a striker. Doesn't look to clinch up either. When she got clinched up against the cage against Kaylin Curran, she did land a couple elbows off the break, and she was largely, able to control. Curran was kind of largely able to control her against the cage, though, without much fear of getting hit. And she is good at once she gets up from a takedown or off the break. She'll continue to fight very fast, not let her opponent rest. But she can be taken out by body locks, well-timed shots, and she's good at once she gets up from a takedown. She will also then kind of get the beat on how they're trying to clinch up with her or take her down and start to avoid that. But her one loss in her career did come by submission. And I don't really envision much grappling in this fight, but Hill is a striker who struggled with grapplers, so this is most likely going to be on the feet. And I kind of give Yan, it's going to be the fight that Yan wants to fight, so it's going to give him a good chance to win. To me, she's going to fight the same way. She's going to, try to use her ladder movement, her left hook, her straight right hand, and kicks to win the match. And I feel like if she starts to break Angela Hill with her volume and her power, she maybe will start to open up, go forward a little bit more herself. But she should be getting more and more comfortable with every octagon appearance, and we'll see how much better she looks here. But Angela Hill, she's jumping right back in the cage. Like I said, this is her 2nd straight fight. She's taken on short notice. She replaced Jessica Panay on short notice and had a pretty dominant decision victory over Jodie Escobar. She is coming back just 6 weeks later, and Yan was set to face Felice Herrig, who is a way different fighter than Hill. Angela Hill, she's quick, she's nimble, she has good movement, and very good teeps to the body, leg kicks, high kicks, and she's good at landing her leg kicks off her blitzes. And she finishes combinations with that after she throws her right hand most of the time. She has a very nice jab, good right hook. She'll throw an uppercut right hook combo. Good at attacking the body with punches and kicks, and very good at mixing up the target. She'll throw a left hook to leg kick combination. She's good at faking the left hook and then throwing a leg kick as well. And she really just starts to read what her opponent is doing and kind of just starting to react off that. Good at slipping and returning with punches. She's good at seeing kicks coming, parrying them, catching them. And she has good kicks herself, and she's very good early. She's fast. She keeps a heavy volume of kicks. In and out movement is very good. And she's always pressuring going forward, and she throws a ton of volume, fights at a very fast pace. And she can't get caught and unloaded on, but she does have a solid chin. And, the only time she really gets caught is when opponents are willing to take shots, kind of barrel forward and, land shots on her by absorbing some shots. But, at times she will angle off with her hands low. She has to be careful with that because I feel like Yan could land a kick. She does have 3 knockouts, and she's never been finished. She's very durable. And, she's improving as a grappler as well. She has decent technique in the clinch, good head positioning. She'll dig underhooks. And she'll also throw uppercuts, overhand rights. She'll exit the clinch with the elbows. And in this fight, if you feel like she could maybe use her striking to back Yan up, clinch her up against the cage, work those uppercuts, overhands along with her knees, just drain some energy from Yan. And, who knows if she's actually going to do that. But I doubt either person's going to go for a takedown in this fight. And I think she needs to walk Yan down, counter with her in and out movement, chop down with her leg kicks. And she tried to slip the right hand of Yan and counter, because Yan always comes back with the left hook after the straight right hand. If you could catch her, moving into that punch, you could potentially land big. I think Hill should attack the body with kicks, front round kicks. I think that Hill has the superior cardio, and I think in round 3, she needs to pick up the pace, put it on Yan. It's going to be a very fun fight, in my opinion. Hill's the best fighter Yan has fought by far, and Hill's going to have the foot speed to close the distance, in my opinion. She's better at rolling, seeing shots coming, moving in and out. I think Hill's going to use a lot of leg kicks, front kicks to the body, front knees. I think as the fight continues, that constant pressure of Hill is going to slow Yan down. And I think Yan's going to need to hit Angie really hard, make her react to her shots, and get her to respect her, get the judges to just see that she's landing the more powerful shots. But I think for Hill being a poor grappler, she's going to be the one better in the clinch in this fight, maybe even better on the floor. She may be able to control, beat Yan up in the clinch a little bit. And, I know a lot of people don't have a lot of trust in Angela Hill a lot of the time, and it's for a good reason. She's, had a lot of fights where she hasn't looked the greatest. But, I'm going to go with Hill here. I think she's going to look good, and I think people that are very high on Yan are going to be surprised here. And I think Angela Hill is going to be able to take a decision. So I'm going with Angela Hill via decision here. And up next, I think this is a great fight here with Calvin Kattar taking on Ricardo Lamas. He's going to be trying to collect the biggest scalp of his career, man. Lamas is a legend, and Kattar's been very good so far in the UFC. He's 3-1, 2 knockouts, fought very good competition. One can argue this is even a step down potentially from the Feelys, the Burgoses, and the Moicanos in 2019. Name value-wise, though, Lamas is a perennial top 10 fighter. He's a legend. And this is going to be the biggest name by far that Kattar's got in the fight. It's going to jump him into the consciousness of, the casual fan. But Kattar's an extremely sharp boxer. He maintains range very well. He has a nasty jab. He has one of the best jabs in the UFC. He'll double, triple up on the jab. He has a great 1-2. Very nice jab, overhand right. He has a sick left hook. Very nice rear uppercuts. He'll explode into range with quick hooks, uppercut combinations. He also will rip the body with hooks. He'll pull counter with punches pretty well. He's very accurate. And when he can find his range, he puts his punches together. He'll put opponents' lights out. He doesn't throw many kicks, but he will throw the occasional leg kick, nice front kicks. He will go body and head with the kicks. He has good footwork. He's hard to hit. And in his fight with Moicano, he did struggle a bit with the distance control of Moicano with his leg kicks. And he got his lead leg chewed up a bit. Moicano was able to push him back by countering Kattar's jabs with combinations. And, that's something that Lamas needs to try to do here. But Kattar's dangerous. He has 8 knockouts. He has 2 in the UFC, like I said. Very durable. He's never been finished by strikes. And obviously, he's going to be the more durable fighter in this matchup. Kattar isn't a very active grappler. He definitely prefers to box. He doesn't look to clinch very much, but he will occasionally, show off some well-timed takedowns. He has a very good blast double leg. He will shoot when opponents are backed against the cage, and he isn't overly dangerous in top position, but, he will use it to, break the rhythm of the fight, and he was able to control one of Andre Fili's wrists when he took him down, land some decent ground and pound. but I would be pretty surprised if he tried to take down Ricardo Lamas. Kattar does have very good distance control, footwork. It makes it hard for opponents to get on his legs, shoot on him to begin with. And his takedown defense is actually pretty solid. He'll attack with front chokes to counter the takedowns. He was able to use that to take top position versus Feely. He has fast hips. He has a very good sprawl. And he was taken down by Chris Fishgold, but he was able to quickly get back to his feet. And, Kattar's lone loss was via submission, but that was a long time ago. He only has 3 submission victories, and it would be pretty shocking to see him get one against a guy like Ricardo Lamas. But Kattar should be the hungrier fighter. He always comes in shape, ready for 3 rounds, and Kattar's going to want to establish range from the start, get his jab out there, and if he can find the range with it, it could be a long night for Lamas. I think if Kattar can find his range early enough to start putting combinations together, he could knock Lamas out. He needs to try to back Lamas up towards the cage to jam his kicks. And for Ricardo Lamas, he's coming off a pretty impressive comeback victory after, maybe some people thought he was done after that loss to Josh Emmett, where he was able to finish Darren Elkins. And, that's super hard to do. Lamas is 37 years old, and he needs to prove the doubters wrong with the victory here to kind of show that he's still relevant in the division. And he's fighting in his hometown of Chicago, so I'm sure he's going to be ready to go. He's going to be, ready to go to a war. And Lamas is very well-rounded. He has a ton of high-level experience, good kickboxing skills, but I think his kicks are more effective than his punches. He has a good jab. He'll use the jab to put together his punch combinations. Good 1-2, nice left hook. He has really nice kicks. He'll attack early and often with leg kicks. Good power on those kicks. He likes to throw a left hook to the body to set up his low kicks. Very nice, tricky head kicks. He'll mix them in at the end of his combinations. He throws with both legs, those head kicks. And he could throw with power, or he could just flick it up very quickly to surprise opponents. And good job at sneaking a head kick mid or late combination, so it's hard to know exactly when he's going to throw it. He finished Matt Grice with a big head kick, but he's mostly a point fighter, and he has a good style to win decisions, out-volume guys. He isn't a big knockout threat. He has 5 knockouts in his career, and when he hurts you, he's a solid finisher. But, obviously in 19 wins, 5 knockouts isn't a huge ratio. He has a questionable chin. He's been finished 4 times via strikes, and a couple of those have been pretty brutal. Lamas is a former D3 All-American wrestler, and if the striking isn't working, he will attack relentlessly with takedown attempts. He does prefer to get takedowns against the cage than try to shoot in open space. He has a decent double leg, very good single. He'll attack with body locks. He tries to take the back and trip off the body lock trips. He has strong ground and pound. He's very effective with his elbows. He's dangerous with the jiu-jitsu, especially his chokes. He has a very good guillotine that he'll use to, defend takedowns with as well and offensively. But he was grinded out by Mirsad Bektik in his last fight. He was able to earn his last loss. He was able to out-grapple Darren Elkins, though, and I think he's still a very high-level grappler. He's very opportunistic with takedowns, very good level changes shots very quickly. He has 5 submissions, and he's never been submitted himself. He has strong cardio. He can work for all 3 rounds, and I see Lamas trying to use movement, kicks, throw leg kicks, try to walk Kattar into spinning kicks, takedown attempts. I feel if he tries to trade punches with Kattar, he's going to open himself up to getting countered, getting pieced up. If Lamas can be in and out while mixing in takedowns, he will have some success in this fight. But I think this fight's actually going to be fairly competitive. I think that Lamas is going to have some success with kicks, even some counter punching combinations. If he can get takedowns, that could make the fight much closer. But I don't think that he's going to be able to take Kattar down or hold him down. I think that Kattar's going to be going forward. I see him eventually finding his range, starting to land clean counters. I think he's going to make Lamas more gun shy. He's going to start walking him down more take the fight over. He can't chase Lamas, but he does have good footwork usually, and I see him being able to cut Lamas off, make the cage small. I think the rounds will be fairly competitive, but I think Kattar's going to start edging it more and more as the fight goes on. And I could see a late second or third round TKO or a 30-27 decision, 30-26. But I think Kattar's going to get the decision victory there in that fight. And up next in this fight, we have Carolina, who's going to be trying to bounce back here against Alexa Grasso. And Carolina, she's only losing a really top 5 competition, and Grasso is definitely a step down. Her 2 losses recently came against Jessica Andrade and Michelle Waterson, who, Jessica Andrade is the champion. Looks like Michelle may be getting the next title shot, but Carolina, she doesn't have a lot to gain from winning this fight, but it's a must-win with back-to-back losses. Carolina, she's a tough come-forward striker. She's a plotter. She relies on taking shots to give shots, get inside. She has a good jab, 1-2. She'll throw heavy leg kicks, and she throws a nice jab, right uppercut combo. She has a nice left straight, right hook combination as well. She will attack the body with strikes, and she likes to blitz forward with 4-5, punch combinations. When she gets punched on the back foot, she can run in with 1-2s with her chin high and be countered. But she will stick in the pocket and trade. She doesn't have a lot of head movement. She keeps her hands low, and she gets hit a lot, but it doesn't seem to phase her most of the time. She'll just march you down with the 1-2. She throws a combination. She has a lot of volume. She will throw body and leg kicks. Occasionally, she'll throw a head kick, spinning kicks. She doesn't have the best hand or foot speed, but she has great composure. She's able to weather a storm and come back. She has great durability, and she doesn't really have knockout power. She only has 1 knockout in her career, but she's an excellent inside fighter where I think she maybe could exploit Grasso a bit. Nasty in the clinch, big elbows, knees. Good job of framing to create space for big knees to the body, followed by big elbows to the head. She'll really beat opponents up in that position, and she's pretty strong for the division. I feel that she's going to be the much stronger fighter in this matchup as well. She has good clinch takedowns, solid top control. She will attack with ground and pound, and when she was taken down by Felice Herrig, she was able to sweep in and mount, attack with a triangle. She has pretty solid takedown defense, get-ups. She was submitted by Claudia Gadelha, but I don't think Grasso's even close to that level of grappler. And she showed good takedown defense in the last fight. And, even though she was taken down a couple of times, I don't think Grasso is going to be looking for takedowns. Carolina has to be ready to defend, those flying submissions of Grasso, but Grasso has never had a submission in her career, so I don't think it's that dangerous. Carolina, she has a good matchup for her style here. Grasso struggled with forward pressure in her UFC career. That's Carolina's game, and Carolina needs to come forward, throw those straight punch hook combinations, try to get in the clinch, rough Grasso up against the cage. Needs to try to just bully, out volume Grasso to a decision, and I kind of find it unlikely either girl gets a finish here. Alexa Grasso's UFC career, it hasn't really exactly panned out exactly according to plan. She entered the UFC undefeated. She had a lot of hype. She won her debut, but since then she lost 2 or 3 fights. She hasn't been very active. She's only fought 3 times since February 2017. She's going to be coming off a year-long layoff here. She's had 3 consecutive fights canceled due to injury. 2 were due to her getting injured, so hopefully she's 100% ready to go. She is only 25 years old, and if one fighter is going to be the one showing massive improvements, it's definitely going to be Grasso. I feel Carolina maybe has peaked with her skill set, but Grasso, she's a decent striker. She's fast. She likes to go forward, walk opponents down. She will throw inside-outside leg kicks. She has an alright jab. She has a pretty solid straight right hand. Her 1-2 is okay. She will throw a nice straight left hand lead. She has a good straight left overhand right combination, or a straight left right hook combination. She's at her best though when she could walk opponents down, back up against a cage, unload with long combination. She has fast hand speed. She'll unload with left and right hook. She'll mix in uppercuts. Her straight right hand has power, and that's usually the shot she hurts opponents with. She was able to rock Felice Herrig with that shot. She has a few KOs on her record. She will mix in nice front and round kicks to the body. She has solid round kick to the head. And when she does let go, though she does tend to kind of forget about defense, her chin will be right up in the air. And while Grasso has solid foot speed, when she strikes, she isn't in and out. She's flat-footed. She's there to be countered. Fighters like Felice, Randa Marcos are able to counter with some single shots. When she was throwing her single shots, they were able to counter with combinations. And it makes her, fighting moving backwards a little bit limited because she can't really let off. Felice Herrig really made her gun shy. She kind of pot-shotted her, walked her down. Grasso didn't really let go. Grasso can be low volume. She can let her opponents dictate the pace. She also can get her kicks caught and get taken down that way, or just, outmaneuver that way. But she has pop in her punches. She has 4 knockouts. She's never been finished by strikes herself. And I actually think Grasso is a pretty good grappler. She doesn't necessarily have the wrestling to get the fight to the ground, but she has a good takedown defense, scrambling ability, strong underhook game in the clinch. She'll control opponents in there. She'll land knees, elbows over the top. She will go for single legs occasionally against the cage. She'll use her sprawl to take top position. She'll also use a front choke and even flying guillotines to counter takedowns. She was able to defend most of the takedown attempts from Randa Marcos. She even swept Marcos. Grasso has a pretty active guard. She'll throw up triangles, arm bars. She's hard to hold down. She usually uses those submissions to create space to stand up. She likes to belly down, transition into a single leg, or a body lock to stand up as well. It does expose her back, and she was submitted by rear naked choke last time against Suarez trying to do that. Marcos was also able to get in some dominant positions, landed some big ground and pound from the mount. And Suarez was able to submit her fairly quickly, but she actually was able to defend the initial takedown attempt. She reversed the position against the cage. She stood up a couple times, but overall, Suarez was able to eventually ragdoll her, submit her fairly quickly. But when she does take top position, she looks overly aggressive. She'll, try to land big ground and pound in advanced position very quickly. Due to that, she doesn't have the greatest top control. She isn't a submission threat really necessarily. I mean, she has no submissions in her career, even though she has decent attempts. She has been submitted 1 time. She does have good cardio. She usually has a strong third round, and Grasso's going to have to be the one to go forward in this fight, maintain the center of the cage. She's going to be the faster fighter, and if she's able to, go forward, go in and out, use those punching combinations to angle off, use her leg kicks, keep a high output, I feel like she could win the fight, and I actually think potentially she should look to get takedowns. She has to be the fighter going forward, dictating the pace and the style of the fight. She can't get walked down. But I like this fight for Carolina. I think that she's going to be able to walk down Grasso, be the busier fighter. I think her shots are going to have more impact. She's going to be able to consistently push Grasso back. I think if Carolina gets in the clinch, she's going to have success with knees, elbows. And I just don't see Grasso being able to get Carolina off of her enough to get her game going. So I'm going with Carolina Kowalkiewicz in this fight to get the win via decision here. Man, I mean, the sick fights keep coming with Pedro Munhoz against Aljamain Sterling. No, this is likely a number 1 contender fight. Aljo's the slight favorite coming in. And after some trials and tribulations in the UFC, Sterling, he's finally hit his stride. He has 3 victories in a row, 5-1 in his last 6 fights. And a win here, like I said, will likely get him a title shot. This fight has some heat on it, too. It's the first time I've really ever heard Pedro Munhoz talking shit. Sterling's kind of been prodding him about his failed drug test, and Munhoz, obviously got off, and he claimed that it was a bullshit test or bullshit. He never took steroids, and he's called Aljo a bitch. He said he's gonna slap Sterling in the face if he sees him. So expect some fireworks at the face-offs during fight week. But Sterling seems to be getting under a lot of his opponent's skin. He's had a lot of bad blood with guys like Brian Caraway, Cody Stamann, and he's been able to perform fairly well under that. But Sterling is much improved as a striker, especially with his hands, his distance control. His last fight was definitely the best striking performance of his career. He's very good at staying long, fighting behind straight punches, kicks. He has a very good kick and takedown feints he'll use to keep his opponents off balance, and it makes it very hard for opponents to defend his strikes. He is a good jab, good one too, and he was constantly keeping the jab in his face in his last fight. He was doubling, tripling up on it. He will throw a straight left, right hook combination, and he has a nice check hook moving backwards. He will throw wide hooks, overhands at times, and he is a bit vulnerable when he does that. He will attack the body with jabs, with 1-2s. He also has a very good round oblique kicks to the legs. He has good oblique and side front kicks to the body, and he uses all that to kind of just stop the forward pressure of his opponents. He'll also throw spinning back fists after the kicks at times if his opponents are getting a little aggressive. He likes to throw a lot of round kicks to the head with both legs, and he was doing a good job of following up with the right hook after the kick against Rivera. He's very quick, and he has good ladder movement, forward pressure. He's good when he can back opponents up against the cage, throw combinations. He has nice jumping round and spinning kicks to the body. He also throws nice elbows. he was attempting to counter the uppercuts to Rivera with the up elbow in his last match, and I feel Rivera was kind of giving a little bit too much respect to Sterling. I still don't think Sterling has big stopping power, and I think he can be countered. We saw when Brett Johns fought Sterling, he was able to eat his shots, counter over the top with some pretty decent shots of his own. Sterling floats his chin in the air. He doesn't have the power or the chin of Munhoz, and if Munhoz forces Sterling to exchange in boxing range inside, he's going to have the advantage there. Sterling has to stay long, in and out, keep Munhoz at the end of his strikes. I see him trying to use a lot of lateral movement, oblique kicks, front kicks, feints, kind of try to halt that forward pressure of Munhoz. And I don't think he's going to try to strike in the fight over 3 rounds. I see him coming in trying to take down Munhoz as well. Sterling is a former college wrestler. He's one of the best grapplers in the division. And he has a strong single leg. He does a good job of driving through with well-timed doubles. He has great control against the cage, very good body locks. And he's always looking to jump on the back when he's looking for the body locks against the cage. He's good at using his single leg to push punch against the cage. And he's very good at getting on his double leg, chaining it to a tight waist, getting a suplex, getting directly into side control or the back mount. And on top, he's very good, man. He looks a great find the legs, move directly into mount. Very heavy pressure, big elbows, and he's very good. He's like an opportunistic back taker. He's very hard once he gets the back, and very good rear naked chokes. He's very long for the division. He's able to get some, sneaky submissions due to that. He does have, he does interesting things where he gets like a full Nelson to flatten opponents out. He will also roll for leg locks. He got a nasty knee bar against Cody Stamann. He has no problem going to the ground with anyone, man. I mean, he went to the ground with guys like Cody Stamann, who's a great wrestler, a BJJ world champion like Augusto Mendez. And his takedown defense is very good. I imagine he's going to be very hard to submit as well. He was able to pretty easily defend the takedown or the guillotines of Augusto Mendez. He won scrambles versus Mendez. Mendez did have success using leg locks to stand up and attempt sweeps, and Sterling was able to roll for leg locks of his own in reverse position as well. So it was kind of a very fun, fast-paced, entertaining fight with grappling transitions, and I feel this fight will be the same if it kind of ends up on the ground a little bit. And Aljo has a great gas tank. He doesn't tire. He pushes a hell of a pace. He has 7 submissions in his career. He's never been submitted. And I see Sterling trying to use lateral movement, walk Munhoz into takedowns. I see him trying to shoot a lot of singles, use those singles to put Munhoz against the cage, and then I see him trying to use those body locks where he won't end up in Munhoz's guard. It's going to be harder for Munhoz to get that guillotine. Sterling is a lead on the mat. If he can get in positions he's strong in, he can out-grapple anyone, and I think even if Munhoz defends his takedowns, he needs to be dogged with them to create entries for potential striking opportunities, keep Munhoz guessing. And I think Sterling probably won't finish Munhoz. If he wins, it's going to most likely have to be a decision. But Pedro is coming off the biggest win of his career. He knocked out a former UFC champion in Cody Garbrandt. It was a back-and-forth fight. And Munhoz is on a 3-fight win streak. He's won 7 out of 8 fights. His one loss was via split decision, so you could argue he's won 8 in a row. He will start off most of his fights on a lot of kicks, hard low kicks, front round kicks to the body. His low leg kick is nasty. I see him trying to use that here against Sterling. He's always coming forward, walking opponents down, applying the pressure. He has a decent jab. He has a powerful left hook. He'll throw a rounder front kick to the body to a straight right hand combination. His front kick is debilitating. He'll drive the toes into the liver. He finished Brian Caraway with that kick. He'll rip the body with hooks. He will throw the occasional high kick. His forward pressure drains fighters. It forces him to mistakes, and he will sit down, throw hook and uppercut combinations. He throws full power because he has no fear of being taken down. He has a good lead overhand right. He'll throw overhand right left hook combination. He's very good at coming in with the high guard, blocking strikes, returning with combinations, especially hook combos. It does leave him susceptible to body shots, but I haven't really seen opponents attack with them. His style goads opponents into war where he has a chin. He has huge power. And he beat Brett Johns pillar to post for 3 rounds. He finished Brian Caraway in the first round. And we saw that in his last match in terms of him being able to go to punch in a his style fight with Cody Garbrandt. After being dropped himself, he was able to goad him into a war and knock him out. And Munhoz is very hittable. He doesn't move his head. He's kind of slow. He's a bit of a plotter. And he's going to have to get inside of the kicks of Sterling here, keep a high volume of strikes. And Munhoz does have 4 knockouts. He's never been finished by strikes. He has an amazing chin. Munhoz is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's very opportunistic with the submissions. He has, I think, the most submissions in bantamweight history, or the most guillotines maybe. But more often, recently, he will shoot for more takedowns. He'll shoot good reactive single and double legs, especially with the single. But he isn't a great wrestler. He doesn't have very many UFC takedowns. He does have very good takedown defense. He has one of the best guillotines in the business, a very heavy sprawl. And, he has to have his wrestling defense on point in this match because I think Sterling's going to test it. His takedown defense is grappling, gets the cage is excellent, which will be huge in winning this fight. He's very good at breaking opponent's posture by pushing the head down. He'll also counter with the Kimura. He's very good at digging underhooks, reversing position. He's also good at disengaging the clinch with knees to the head. I've never really seen an opponent really be able to hold him down or do anything from top position. And on top, he's very methodical. He's always looking for the guillotine, and he's very good at hurting his opponents and jumping on the neck from standing position. But, he will look to get crossbody and half guard. He's very heavy in that position. He'll look for arm triangles. He'll also try to move to side control, get the crucifix. He doesn't have the greatest top control, and when when he postures up for ground and pound, people who are strong wrestlers like Sterling usually can find their way back to their feet. In this fight, I see him attempting to defend takedowns and keep the fight on the feet. He'll obviously jump on that neck if he sees an opportunity, but grappling with Sterling, probably gives Sterling his best chance to win. Munhoz has 8 career submissions. He's never been submitted. His cardio, pace, pressure, are some of the best for the bantamweight division, and usually always wins the later rounds. Munhoz is going to need to get inside, test that chin. He needs to jam Sterling's kicks with forward pressure, keep the volume high, and if he can counter Sterling early with big shots, I could see Sterling getting a big gunshot. I also think he should try to attack the body with some hooks, with some straight punches, because I feel like Sterling doesn't really like getting hit to the body, and he should try to attack with the leg kicks, slow the movement, the drive on his takedowns. And he needs to be ready to not only defend takedowns, but also keep his back off the cage. And if Munhoz could be the aggressor here, go forward, keep the fight on the feet for the 3-round duration and get inside, I see him winning the fight. I think he has more power, he has a better chin, and he's just overall more dangerous on the feet. And I'm going to pick Pedro Munhoz. I think he's going to be able to walk Sterling down, land more volume. I think he's going to be able to deny most of the takedown attempts, create scrambles to get up if he does get taken down. And, I'm picking against Sterling once again, so maybe it's going to burn me, but I'm going to say Pedro wins via 3rd round TKO in this fight. And up next here, we have another potential number 1 contender fight with Tatiana Suarez against Nina Ansarov. And, Suarez is going to look to continue her sword on the strawweight division. She's undefeated. She's 4-0 with 3 finishes in the UFC. And she's coming off a dominant victory over former UFC champion Carlos Esparza. And Suarez is an Olympic-level wrestler. She arguably has the best grappling in all of women's MMA. But she's a rangy, athletic fighter. She is improving as a striker, but she still looks a little vulnerable on the feet. She stays long. She has good kicks. She also has a very wide stance. She's a lot of weight on her front leg, but it lets her be ready to spring into takedown attempts. She will throw a lot of outside leg kicks. She has pop on. She will pop her jab out there as well, and she will throw the outside leg kick to a side kick to the body combination. She'll throw nice oblique kicks to the leg. She'll throw a jab to a head kick combo. She doesn't really have hands. She kind of knows it too. She doesn't fight outside of herself. She uses a lot of kicks to keep her opponent at bay, and then she goes in, times her takedown. And Suarez is a person, she's battled through cancer. She's an elite mindset. She's never been finished with strikes. Now, I haven't seen her hit hard or rocked, but I imagine she'll be someone who never quits, who is going to be there to fight and win the fight. She has 2 knockouts herself, TKOs. Suarez is a mauler. She's an Olympic-level wrestler. She is by far the best chain wrestling in the division. She has a very good double leg entry, and if she can get her hands locked, She will dump her opponent. She'll use the double leg to come into a body lock as well. She's an excellent low single leg, just a lot of variety on her takedowns. Her top pressure at ground and pound are second to none. She has big ground and pound hammer fist elbows from half guard. She'll pressure pass from her opponent's full guard right into side control, where she'll get the crucifix position. She has big knees to the body from side control. She really will beat up former UFC champion Carla Esparza on the ground. When she took her down, Esparza couldn't really get up. Her face was battered. And Suarez is very good at using her single to take the back. She has pretty solid rear naked chokes. Suarez is great at hanging on opponents, not letting them get away when they try to stand up. When they try to stand up, she'll use her front chokes to snap them back down. She has good anacondas, darces. She has 5 submissions, and she's finished 7 of her 9 wins. She was able to finish his bars with ground and pound, and she's finished 5 of her 6 UFC fights, including tough. Suarez is going to fight only one way until someone proves to her that they could stop it. She's going to use her kicks until she could time a takedown, maul Nina. And all Suarez needs is one takedown to severely slow, diminish her opponents. And if she takes on Ansaroff, I don't see Ansaroff standing back up. I think Suarez will have her way with her on the mat. I do feel Nina is fairly good off her back. Maybe she can do a good job defending for a little bit. But if she can't get off her back, she's going to eventually be in big trouble. Nina Ansaroff, she's won 4 consecutive fights. She had a rough start to her career in her UFC. She was 0-2, but she turned it around. She's fought progressively tougher competition, and she was able to take out one of the best strawweights of all time in her last match against Claudia Gadelha. And, that was definitely the biggest win of her career, but a win here would be a massive upset. And Ansaroff is a striker, and this is obviously going to be a striker versus grappler matchup. Her last 2 fights with Randa Marcos and Claudia Gadelha have been pretty good prep, even though they don't have the wrestling caliber of Suarez. But Ansaroff is a solid striker. She has more of a Muay Thai style, flat-footed style. She likes to walk her opponents down. She has good low leg kicks, a fast jab, a good 1-2. She has a nice left hook, right straight combination. She'll mix uppercuts into her combinations, and she is good at throwing a 1-2 to a left hook and angling it off. She also has good front kicks to the body. She will throw occasional round kicks as well to the body. She's good at using her round kick to the body to disguise her question mark kicks. And she's decent at pull countering with her jabs or straight punches or uppercuts, but she can float her chin a bit when she does that. When she's forced to fight moving backwards, she will try to land straight punches and angle, but she doesn't have the fastest feet. And I feel Suarez will most likely be able to cut her off if she pressures, but she may have to eat a few of Ansaroff's punches. Ansaroff is extremely durable, man. She eats shots like cupcakes. She doesn't move her head. She'll just plod forward at times, which gasses her opponents out. And in this fight with the dominant wrestler, it'll be interesting if she could get her to tire by continuously getting back to her feet or denying the takedown attempts. But Ansaroff has to sit down some punches to get her to respect her power here. Show Suarez she can't just walk her down. She does have 4 knockouts in her career. She's never been finished by strikes. And she's not a bad grappler. And obviously she's not going to be wrestling in this fight. She's going to be trying to use her wrestling in reverse. But she's flat-footed, so opponents seem to be able to get inside on her fairly easily. And against the cage, she will get a wide base. She'll counter takedowns with guillotines. She's also, fairly good at framing immediately, circling off before opponents get cement position on the cage. Fighter actually can get on her legs, though, or in a body lock. She doesn't have great takedown defense. Claudia Gadelha, Randa Marcos were both able to take her down a couple times. Off her back, Nina actually has a pretty good guard. It's pretty hard to pass. She has good retention on it. She has pretty dexterous legs, and she's good at using her guard to stand up. She'll attack with leg locks. She'll get the butterfly. When Gadelha took her down, she wasn't really able to stand up or do much off her back when Claudia was fresh. And but she is always moving underneath her opponent. She's controlling posture. She's decent at protecting herself. Marcos was able to take her back, but she wasn't able to do anything with the position. And Ansaroff will throw her legs up for triangles, for submissions, but they're more to create space to stand up. And, it would be shocking if she got a submission here. But Nina has great cardio. She doesn't slow down, and she's not going to be intimidated in this spot. She's been sparring with, the champ at 135, 145 for years now. But this is an extremely tough matchup for her. Flat-footedness plays right into Suarez's game, and, it isn't whether she's going to be taken down, in my opinion, because I think she will be taken down, but it's what she can do after she does get taken down.
She needs to make it hard for Suarez to control her against the cage, frame, get away. Always make her work to get inside. When she inevitably gets the takedown, she needs to use her guard to stand up, try to tire Suarez out by constantly making her reshoot, reattempt takedowns. If Suarez can get, or if Anshov can get Suarez tired, then she could maybe start walking her down, piecing her up. She also should look to set up the leg kicks, maybe slow the shot of Suarez. But Suarez is a big favorite for a reason here. I don't think that Nina is the best athlete, and just don't see her feet being fast enough to avoid being grappled up by Suarez. Suarez is smart. She's not going to gas like Claudia. And for Nina to win, she needs to either accumulate a lot of leg kicks where Suarez can no longer wrestle her, or just catch her cold and KO her. But both are very unlikely. I think after one takedown, Nina's going to be severely diminished. And I'm going to say Suarez wins via late second round or early third round, KO, TKO. And I'm going with Tatiana Suarez in this fight. And up next year, we could have a fight that could be an interesting fight or could potentially turn into a slop fest. But Tai Tuivasa, he's going to have to bounce back from his first pro MMA loss. And he had a good first round against Junior, but he was caught with a big shot, mounted, finished. And looking at his social media, it looks like he's taking his strength and conditioning very seriously for this fight. And he's in the best shape I've ever seen. You know, he looks a lot slimmer. This fight may have been or that loss may have been the motivation he needed to reach his full potential. In my opinion, the UFC is giving him a fight to bounce back here, and a loss would lose him a lot of value in their eyes. This is Ty's second fight in Chicago, and he was able to win a hard fought decision over Andrei Arlovski last year. But Tuivasa is the much better athlete. He's fast, he's explosive, pretty dynamic for such a big guy. He started his career with seven consecutive knockouts, and without a finish in his last two, I'm sure he's going to want to be going back to those ways. But he's a southpaw. I see him being the one going forward, pushing the fight, in my opinion. He doesn't use a lot of jabs or setups. He throws big, heavy, low kicks, though. He has a nasty right hook. He can drop opponents with that hook. He has a nice right hook, straight left hand combination. He'll throw a nice left hook, right uppercut combination. He will throw a solid left uppercut, overhand leads, and he attacks the body with hooks. He will occasionally throw a body jab. He will throw straight punch combinations as well to close the distance. Very fast hand speed, and he can do a lot of winding up. Fighters can counter and land first with jabs or straight punches, and he's much better when he's exploding in and just being a little more dynamic because when he does load up, that does slow down his hand speed. But Arlovski was able to pick him apart a bit with jabs. He broke his nose, and when he can back punch up towards the cage, though, that's where he's dangerous. He has nasty flying knees, big elbows. He has body head combinations. In his last fight, he was doing a much better job of cutting off the cage with leg kicks, not opening himself up to being clipped with counters. And he needs to do the same in this fight. Tuivasa has big power. He has 7 KO TKOs. And he was finished by strikes for the first time in his last fight in MMA, but it wasn't like he was concussed. It was more like he got stuck in a position he couldn't get out of. But Tuivasa isn't a great grappler. That was obviously exposed against JDS. He is heavy. He likes to use punches to close the distance, push opponents against the cage, and he has great elbows over the top, punches on the break. And he doesn't really go for takedowns. He doesn't look to have much from top position. He was able to mount Andrei Arlovski and didn't really let anything off. I haven't really seen anyone shoot takedowns on Tuivasa. He's never been taken down in the UFC. But when Junior Dos Santos dropped him, he was able to move him out, batter him. Tuivasa didn't know how to get Dos Santos out of mount. He was trying to throw up offense off of his back, and he took that loss very hard. And I feel Ty will be motivated to come in here. I see Tuivasa being an aggressor, stalking Blagoy. He needs to back him up with the leg kicks, try to back him near the cage. If he can land head-body combinations, I feel he's going to tire Blagoy out. And I feel he's going to be able to get, shots off the clinch off, breaks also. And if Tuivasa can back Ivanov off, or back him up, cut off the cage, I see him being more active, maybe even being able to find a finish. But Blagoy to me has been very underwhelming since entering the UFC. He's had 2 lackluster decisions, and he got in what, in my opinion, was a robbery victory in his last fight. A win here for Ivanov would be huge, though. It would keep him relevant a bit longer. And Ivanov is a striker. He has some pretty solid power. He isn't very athletic. He's a bit of a plotter. He will slowly walk opponents down, look to land heavy punches. And in his last fight, he was using a lot of lateral movement, circling a cage, trying to walk opponents into his power. He has a nice jab, good straight right hand. He'll throw a double jab right hook combo. He has a good straight left hand right hook combination. He's deceptively fast when you stay in the pocket with him, stay flat footed. He can close the distance fairly quickly. His overhand right is powerful, and he will throw left hooks, jab left hooks. He'll close the distance with 2, 3 overhands or right hooks in a row. In his last fight, he was almost exclusively though looking for the jab or the left hook, circling Rothwell into those shots, but it didn't seem like he was putting a ton of power on them, and he was really just touching and moving. He did sit down on a few straight punches, straight right hands, a few hooks, but it was a very low risk performance. And Ivanov isn't an explosive guy. He's slow with his foot speed. He has a very powerful low kick, but he very rarely throws those kicks. Short reach, so he can't get pot shotted from the outside. He was picked apart with jabs, straight punches against JDS, and he has 6 knockouts. He's very durable. He's never been knocked out himself, so has to be respected in that sense. Ivanov really hasn't shown his grappling game in very many fights, but he does have a decent amount of submissions. He never attempted a takedown against Ben Rothwell or Junior Dos Santos, but he's decent at catching kicks and bringing fighters to the mat. I wouldn't say he has good top control, but his ground and pound is heavy when he lands, and he has good takedown defense. He'll attack with guillotines, front chokes. He has 6 submissions, and he was submitted one time by Alexander Volkov, but in this matchup, I do potentially see him maybe going for takedowns, but I don't think he's going to be successful. And he has questionable cardio. He got tired against JDS and got tired against Ben Rothwell, and wrestling will just wear him out, in my opinion. He is extremely tough. He's always in the fight, and he's going to be using the same game plan he did against Rothwell to me. I see him trying to use lateral movement, hand speed to win the fight, use his jab, his left hook to keep Tuivasa at bay, and maybe even try to land, opportunistic takedown, sit down on some straight right hands. You can't allow himself to get stationary with his back against the cage, and he has to angle, keep his feet moving, frustrate Tuivasa with superior footwork boxing to win a decision. I think Tuivasa will be too much here. I see him being able to cut Blagoy off, laying combinations while Blagoy is flat-footed, and he has to be wary of the counters of Ivanov, but if he's not stupid and doesn't get tagged and finished, I see him winning the fight. I don't think Ivanov has the foot speed or the cardio to be able to circle away, evade Tuivasa over 3 rounds. I think Tai has the faster feet. I think he's going to cut him off. I think the leg kicks are going to be a big factor in demobilizing Ivanov. And I don't think Ivanov could take him down. I don't think he's going to try to be honest, very often. And I think Tuivasa is going to win an easy decision or even get a TKO finish. So I'm going to go with Tai Tuivasa to get the win here. And up next here, we have a fight with 2 guys who are going, in completely opposite directions in their career. Jimmy Rivera used to be that guy like Petr Yan. He was on the big win streak. He was coming up the ranks, fighting all these new contenders, trying to get the title. And, now he's the guy that's lost quite a few fights. I think he's lost 2 out of his last 3 fights. He's kind of middling around now. It doesn't look like he's ever going to get a title shot. It doesn't look like he's ever going to get a chance to fight, these big names, unless he can rack another big win streak together. And he's a pretty sizable underdog here against Petr Yan, who's started his UFC career 4-0. He's coming off a big win over John Dodson, 2 finishes. He has big knockout power. And, this is an interesting fight, though, because it's a good matchup for Jimmy Rivera. If Jimmy Rivera comes into this fight looking like he used to, but I just don't know if he has that same performance in him like he used to have like in his earlier career, because Jimmy Rivera is a counterpuncher, man. He's a guy who likes to counter guys coming forward. He has good hand speed. He has very heavy hooks. He, can counter with more than one, and he gets guys gun shy. He could drop him and hurt him. But at this point, his chin is very questionable, and he does have good lateral movement. He could pot shot guys move, and if he could do that to Petr Yan, where he's countering Petr Yan as he comes forward, throwing those low leg kicks, which we saw against Faber, because I think Petr Yan is susceptible to leg kicks. But the thing about Petr Yan is he's a guy who's super confident right now. He's a destroyer. He's coming forward. He doesn't slow down. He throws body head combinations. He backs opponents up. And I definitely think he's going to be the guy going forward. I definitely think he's going to be the hunter. He's going to be, trying to get Rivera to cut him off, to get him into close quarters. And I think we saw, like, when he fought Pedro Munhoz, Jimmy Rivera, that, he was slowing down by that forward movement. He was starting to get more cut off in the later rounds, but he was able to win a split decision there. I think Petr Yan has even faster feet. He has better combinations. He cuts off the cage better than Munhoz, especially Munhoz of a couple years ago. And I think Jimmy's even diminished a little bit with his foot speed, obviously with his chin, with his durability. And I think Rivera's going to be looking as well to make Petr Yan miss with those big looping shots, counter over the counter with takedowns. And I just don't think he's going to be able to hold Petr Yan down. And I just feel like over 3 rounds, Petr Yan's going to start breaking him down, man. I think that Petr wants it more. I think that he's going to be able to walk him down, cut him off, start to land longer combinations. I think that Jimmy's going to start getting more and more gun shy. And I think that the judges are going to like that Petr's always going forward, that Petr's always pushing the pace, that he's the one throwing the more volume. And I think he's going to be able to get a decision victory here. I don't think he's going to be able to finish Jimmy Rivera. If he does finish Jimmy Rivera, that'll be very impressive. And Jimmy does have a bad chin, though. So now that I'm saying I don't think he could finish him, I want to retract that statement. I do think he could finish him, but I'm still going to stick with a decision victory. And I think that it could be competitive in that first round, maybe parts of the second round. But I think, Petter's going to break him with that pressure, man. I think Petter's eventually going to start to wear on him, and you're going to start to see Rivera just stop fighting as hard, not wanting as much, start to see the, just the accumulation of shots start to wear on him. And I think Petter's hungrier. I think he wants it more at this point in their career. And I think he's just going to gut it out and take the victory here. So I'm going to Petr Yan via decision. And up next, talk about a fucking badass fucking fight. I mean, Tony Ferguson against Donald Cerrone. But first, I just want to say something real quick about a partnership that I'm started doing with a Big Marley, MMAOddsbreakers.com. And hopefully you guys can support me on this. But basically, it's I'm going to be giving you guys a promo code for Big Marley's bets, his premium bets. He's been killing it this year. He's up over $25,000 last year. And, if you buy his guaranteed full bet package and you use the promo GURU, not only will the price be refunded if he doesn't profit, so you'll get your money back even if, even if he doesn't cash, you'll get your money back. So there's not a big risk for you if he loses. And you'll also be included in the $7.99 DraftKings write-up that he does. That I actually do the fighter breakdowns and analysis for free on there. So you'll get my breakdown as well as his DraftKings analysis. So if you play DraftKings, I highly recommend that. He's an 8-time DraftKings qualifier. And, if you get his bet, you get that DraftKings write-up for free along with my breakdown. So I think it's a great deal overall. And hopefully you guys will support the show. I'll put the link in the description for the premium picks for Kyle Marley. And it's only going to help everyone. And hopefully I'm going to maybe potentially start writing articles there for MMA Odds Breakers as well. So hopefully you guys will all support me on that. And, I think it could be fun. It could be potentially a fun thing to do and give more content to the people. But this, is my personal favorite fight on the card, Tony Ferguson against Donald Cerrone. And, any fight with Tony Ferguson is fireworks. And now throwing Donald Cerrone in the cage with him, holy shit. Ferguson, he's one of the best resumes in lightweight's history. And many feel he's the uncrowned champion. He's won 11 consecutive fights. He's fought elite-level competition. Rafael dos Anjos, Edson Barbosa. Just guys that are very good. He just beat Anthony Pettis. And Donald Cerrone, he's been wreaking havoc since coming back to lightweight, 2 wins. And he's coming off 3 fights in a row that were extremely impressive. He's coming off that 5-round beatdown of Ally Quinton. He's taking this fight just 35 days after that. So, this guy's a wild man. A win here would definitely cement him as the clear number 1 contender, though, and quite frankly, be the biggest win of his career. But I'm really favoring Tony Ferguson here, and I'm going to maybe make a significant play on him. I feel that Ferguson is going to fight at a pace and use angles that Cerrone won't be able to keep up with. I think the constant kicking, the forward pressure of Ferguson is going to be a problem for Cowboy. He's going to be front kicking to the body, inside, outside leg kicks, round kicks to the body, just staying active. I think we could see the return of the Cerrone weak body argument if Tony could finish him with body shots. But Cerrone likes to fight at like a deliberate pace, control the center of the cage. And Tony's going to be fighting at a frenetic pace that he always does, using kicks, angling, going forward, smothering Cerrone. Cerrone is a Muay Thai guy. He's flat-footed, and he's going to... I don't know if he's going to be able to deal with the kicking game of Tony. I think that Donald has a lot of scar tissue as well, and Tony has those sick elbows that he could cut you open with. Down is better going forward, and that's when he can counter. He isn't as good countering off his back foot, and even if Cowboys stay, hammer Tony, I believe Tony's going to recover, come back like he always has. He's like a Nick Diaz character where his pressure leads to him getting hurt and gives people the false sense that he maybe has a weak chin, but he recovers so quickly and he's so elite off his back that unless someone knocks him out cold, they aren't getting the finish most likely. I think that Tony's even better than Donald on the mat, and I just think that the pace that he fights at is going to break down Cerrone. I think that he could go out there, win in the first round potentially, just because I just think that he's going to be walking him down. We've seen guys that put pressure on Donald. I mean, like Rafael, like Darren Till. He's turned his back to a lot of those guys. I don't know, he doesn't react extremely well to pressure, and I feel like his last couple fights, he's fought guys that aren't kickers. He's fought guys that are more traditional, that'll stand in front of him, and if Tony Ferguson hurts him in the first round, he's not going to let him off the hook like these guys. And I just don't see Tony Ferguson losing to Donald Cerrone, man. I think Tony's too determined. He's just a bad motherfucker. I know a lot of people are talking about, outside the cage stuff with he's been having troubles and all that, but I feel like Tony's the type of guy that when he's in the cage, he's in his element, man, and he's not going to be thinking about anything outside of that. He's going to be in there. He's going to be ready to go. And, I just don't think that Donald Cerrone, I mean, unless he lands a big shot that could just knock out Tony Ferguson, I just don't see him winning the fight. I don't think he's going to be able to win a decision. I don't think many people are going to be able to win decisions against Tony. I mean, he just fights at such a frenetic pace. He has, it's just constant pressure, constant forward pressure. He's constantly in your face, and I just feel like he's going to smother those kicks of Cerrone. Cerrone doesn't have the same punching power moving backwards. I feel like Tony's going to be able to eat the body shots. He's going to be able to hurt Donald potentially to the body, and I just feel like this fight very much favors Tony Ferguson, man. I really do. I feel like Tony should get the win here, and yeah, I mean, I think that he's going to get a finish somewhere in the 3-round distance. It could be a late round finish. It could be an early round finish. But even if he doesn't get a finish, I'm comfortable in him winning the decision on the scorecards as well. And I think Tony Ferguson is definitely going to get it done in that fight. And up next for this fight with Valentina against Jessica I don't really have a long breakdown for this fight. I think that, this is a bit of a mismatch. I mean, I know that Jessica I has a lot of confidence in herself right now. She's riding a high. She's moved over to the Las Vegas. She's at Extreme Couture. But, man, I mean, one camp at Extreme Couture isn't going to get your wrestling good enough to take down Valentina. And she's talking about how she's going to be out-grappling Valentina. But we see girls like Juliana Pena, who I feel like would out-grapple Jessica I fairly easily, not have any success in the grappling with Valentina. Valentina was able to submit her. I feel like that Mike Tyson type of entries that Jessica I does, where she's trying to use the head movement to get inside and close the distance with straight punches. I feel like Valentina is just so much faster with her feet, with her hands. I think that she's going to be able to keep her at bay with constant combinations, and I think that she's just going to beat up Jessica I, man. I think Jessica I is really tough, and she has a big confidence in herself right now, and she's not going to quit it there, and I think that Valentina is really going to beat her up on the feet, out-volume her. I think that just guys get to go for takedowns, get reversed, get hip tossed, like Joanna was potentially, get taken down. I think Valentina's going to control her on top. I think Valentina has the superior cardio, even though it's hard to say that. I mean, Jessica doesn't seem to get tired, but Valentina's cardio is proven over 5 rounds. Valentina's fought plenty of title fights, 5-round fights. She's main evented cards. This is a big step up in competition for eyes. This is a big step up in visibility in terms of marketing, in terms of the amount of press she has to do. And, yeah, man, I just feel like Valentina's minus 1,500 for a reason. I mean, unless something crazy happens and Jessica I could, I don't know. I mean, I don't see her winning a decision with takedowns. I don't see her winning a decision with striking. She needs to get a finish somehow. And, yeah, I mean, it's unlikely, and so I'm going to Valentina either via decision where she really batters Jessica I, or a late third, fourth, fifth round KO TKO or submission for Valentina Shevchenko. Man, up next here we have Henry Cejudo versus Marlon Moraes for the 135 championship. Henry Cejudo is obviously trying to become a 2-division champion, and Marlon's just been wreaking havoc in the division. He knocked out Rafael Sansal, knocked out Rivera, knocked out Aljamain Sterling, And, obviously Marlon's going to have a big size advantage here. But I think early in the fight, striking wise, I think that Henry Cejudo is going to be much faster. I think that he's going to give him issues closing that distance, and Marlon has to be careful in that first round, getting hit hard by Henry Cejudo. I know he's usually the guy that's landing in the first round, but we've seen John Dodson with his speed be able to get inside, drop Marlon Moraes in the first round. And I definitely feel like Henry's going to be faster, closing distance, faster with his hand speed. And Moraes, he's going to have to try to keep him on the outside with that left hook that's just straight up nasty, those kicks. And Henry's going to have to figure out how to get inside through those kicks, man. And I feel like in that first round, maybe not even the whole first round, just the first couple minutes, I feel that Henry has a very good chance to even get a knockdown on Marlon Moraes, get inside, drop him. But I think as the fight goes on, that Henry's going to have to implement his grappling game to be successful here. I don't think he's going to be able to strike with Marlon because I think that Marlon's going to have the kicking advantage on the outside. And I think those kicks are really going to keep Henry at bay if he can't get takedowns. I think that Henry's going to be getting hit with that left hook, and you don't want him to start getting hit by a guy like Marlon Moraes. Give him his reads, start to let him let off on those leg kicks, and just start battering you because that's when Marlon can become a big problem for anyone in the world. And obviously, if he hits Henry on the chin directly clean, he's going to knock him out like he's knocked out his last opponents. But Henry has a huge head. He has a hell of a chin. I mean, the one time he got TKO'd was with body shots in the clinch, and I just don't think that Marlon's going to possess that type of thing in the clinch. I think that when they grappling, obviously I feel like Henry's going to win, and we have seen Marlon kind of be taken down in the past tire, and I feel like Henry's going to have to do that. If he can't get him out of there in the first round, or he can't submit him, drop him in the first round, finish him like he did TJ Dillashaw, I think that he's going to have a heavy grappling game plan where he's taking Marlon down, he's controlling top position, similar to his fight with Demetrius Johnson. And I think Marlon's obviously going to be trying to keep him on the outside with those kicks and landing that left hook, that overhand right when he tries to close the distance, stalking him going forward, making the cage small for him, trying to force him into mistakes. And, we haven't seen Marlon go 5 rounds, though. I mean, he's been finishing these fights very early, so it's going to be interesting to see if he gets taken down maybe in a couple rounds, if he can gas out in the fight. He did go 5 rounds a lot in WSOF, and he was never tired, but this is a different level of pace against a guy that's going to be a flyweight, a guy that's going to give you a heavy wrestling game plan. He could potentially take you down. And, man, I mean, this is a really close fight to me. I've been going back and forth with who I'm going to pick because I feel like if Marlon can, keep the fight on the feet over a 5-round duration, he's going to be able to either get Henry out of there at some point or just beat him up, win the striking. But I think if Henry can win the first round, then start to get his takedowns going, I think he could edge out a decision in this fight. So I'm going to pick Henry Cejudo for now to get the victory. And I'm going to say he wins a decision here and becomes a 2-division champion. So I'm going with Henry Cejudo in this fight to get the job done. And for the parlay of the week on this card, I'm going to give you guys to do Calvin Kattar and Petr Yan. And I think that's a pretty solid parlay right there. I think that it's going to be a plus money parlay and has a good chance of hitting there with those two guys. I also think that a parlay with Tony Ferguson, Suarez, Shevchenko could be a good parlay as well, or Kattar Lewis. But I like this card. I like some lines that I get. I think this is going to be our card, baby. I think we're going to cash out on this card, rack out on this card. So hopefully that could happen. And make sure to comment, like, subscribe on the video. I want to hear all your guys' predictions, who you think is going to win this week, why, what bets you guys are doing. And make sure to go to MMA Oddsbreaker, support me, support the show, support DraftKings. And if you get those bets, you get the money back for free if they don't hit. So it's essentially free advice to get a lot of money from a very respected guy. And you also get a free DraftKings breakdown. So to me, it's a win-win scenario there. And I would jump right on that if I were you guys. But thanks for watching the show again. And I'll see you guys in a couple weeks for the next event. And I'm actually going to be doing the Dana White Contender Series. And I wanted to get your guys' opinion if you wanted me to do the Bellator main card for next week, which is going to be Chael Sonnen versus Machida. And I think Rory versus Neiman Gracie. And yeah, so if I get enough interest, if I get 10 comments saying that, or I'll say 5 comments. If I get 5 comments that say they want me to do the Bellator main card breakdown for next week at Madison Square Garden, I'll do that card as well. And yeah, guys, like I said, thanks for supporting the show. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.